All right, good afternoon and welcome to Impact's continuing series on technology and innovation. And we started broadcasting these because we missed you in Chicago earlier this year. And this is an opportunity for you to meet up close and personal some of our vendors that were there that really focus on the impact of IT. Now, keep in mind, we missed you in Chicago, but we're going to see every one of you in Orlando at the Coronado Springs Hotel, February 14th through the 17th. And we look very much to seeing you there. We're going to have a jam-packed agenda. And also in Orlando, we're going to have Vince Hughes with us. And Vince is going to take it away. He's going to talk about Takeoff and Steel Erection Bid Whiz. And Vince, you got about the next 25 minutes. Thank you for joining us today.
All right, Kevin, I appreciate the opportunity to come on and show my solutions. I'm with Steel Estimate Solutions. I had a steel erection company for about 28 years. It was a family-owned business, and we had sold it in 2012. But I started doing digital takeoffs in about 2001, 2002, and once we sold out my company, I developed what I now call a steel erection bid wizard and started looking at the market about 7 years ago and see there was not a specific steel erection bid wizard or a steel erection estimating software on the market. So I figured why not put it out, and did that about 7 years ago. And at this point, I mean, we're been doing it about 7 years, helping a lot of companies transition to that digital world. And I appreciate you guys taking the time today to take a look at this presentation.
Well, Vince is bringing that up. I just want to remind everybody, if you haven't been on one of our webinars before, we monitor the Q&A. So as Vince goes through his presentation, if you have a question, type in the question you have, and we'll try and get to it. If for some reason we don't get to it at the time, keep in mind that Vince will be following up with everybody who got on today, so you get a chance to talk one-on-one with Vince. We don't monitor the chat function, so please confine your questions and comments to the Q&A function found at the bottom of your screen.
All right, so what we're seeing on the screen is a software called eTakeoff. It's the digital takeoff program, and the benefit of what we've done here at Steel Estimating Solutions to make it very simple to transition and use it with the Steel Erection Bid Wizard is we've created all the tools that we do as an erector. So all the tasks you'll see over here on the left-hand side, it's probably a little small for you to see, but we have all the tasks that we as an erector install. And I'm going to say this too before I get too deep in, this is going to be a very, very high level overview because we don't have we're kind of limited on time. So I'm just going to hit the high points. But when you go digital, it's very simple. You're getting PDFs right now through email. You upload those PDFs into the software. Then we come in, we check the scale. And we set the scale 1/8 inch equals a foot. Always have to verify that that scale is correct. And then once we see it's set up, so I'm just kind of going through the quick setup process of it. So you would go through, set all the scale on every drawings, and then we'd go to the first detail drawing, and we'd set up all the detail pages. Very simple to do. I just simply go to the first detail sheet, come over to name view, enter in that sheet number for the detail. I go through every detail drawing and set that up. And the benefit of doing this is now when I go to the drawings, right now, when you have a hard set of plans, you flip to that detail, then come back to your plan, do the takeoff. When you go digital, it allows me to set up these detail drawings that will come up on a second window. And then within that second window that goes on my second monitor, if I got to go to 5 on S302, I do this little binoculars, do the drop down, and now I'm at that detail page. If I got to go to S401, do the drop down, I'm at that detail page. So it makes me be able to just jump back and forth, looking left to right to navigate through my details. Now, as I mentioned, we set up all these tools. So I'm just going to kind of jump in there and show you how I'm going to take off these beams. And this is where the speed really comes in. I mean, I can come in here and double click on it and go count each one. But when we're going digital, we don't really, that's not the plan. The plan is to pick up speed. So what I would do is have the system find these beams for me, and all I do is select my trace, bubble around it, and now it's going to go through here. It's going to find me all these beams that's on this page. And the nice thing about eTakeoff, while I'm waiting for that search, I'm not just sitting there with dead time. I can continue to do my takeoff. So we see here we got some moment welds. So I come over here and select my moment condition. The steel erection bit wizard goes by pounds per foot. So I'll select the corresponding poundage and count those. And like I say, it's the nice thing about it is I can continue to do takeoffs while that search is going on, counting all the beams. So I could come over here to perimeter angles, grab my angle. And just for an idea, this little building we're looking at right now, it's a 3-story building, about 48,000 square foot. And for me to do a digital takeoff on this, from bringing in the plans to get the price and the steel erection bit wizard, it takes me about 45 minutes. And that's a 100% quantity detailed takeoff. So it really, truly speeds up the process. So when you take off the angle, now we got a pure quantity of what the angle is. Another nice feature, let's say we have kickers going from 1.5 to 5.3, 2 foot on centers. I could come over here, select the kicker. If they're going 2 foot on centers, I go over here on the right-hand side and I give it the multiplier 2 foot. And then I can come and click at the starting point, click at the ending point, and it just counted me 45 kickers from that point to that point. And so when we're using the steel erection bit wizard, it does require a 100% quantity takeoff. So it's not, I have to count every piece and enter it into the system to get it. And the beautiful thing I think about going digital is you can do this quantity takeoff very quickly. So now you have, when you got your price, you know you've picked everything up. Stairs are very simple to take off as well. Stairs, rails, and landings. And just to point out too, the search, we're still searching for beams, but like I said, I continue on. You could bring a PDF in or you can bring a TIFF. If I bring in a TIFF, it's quicker, but it has on the search, but it has its downside. So I stick with the PDF and I continue to do work while that process is happening. So once that search is done, we're gonna get a window that pops open. I have to go through here, and if I check these things as W10s, I uncheck mark them, they turn white. I just want to verify that I'm searching for 16 to 21s, which is based on my production rate and the steel erection bit wizard for that beam size. So I would go through and highlight everything that's a 16 to 21, and I'd uncheck mark everything that's not. Once I've done that, I will hit save and continue, and it leaves the other beams in, which is nice because I don't have to do another search for them. Then I highlight those ones, save and continue, go to the 12 to 14s. And once we filter through all those, now we'll look at the plan and you'll see every beam on the page is counted. Just to jump in there for columns too, just to get that idea. It's a 3-story building, so I'm gonna go with the 40-foot average column. Now, granted, I could come through there and click on every single one, but going digital is about getting speed. I keep saying that because for me, that's what it was all about. I could take off that one column line. If I have other typical column lines, I can go ahead and just copy it and drag and drop to the other like columns. So I'm not sitting there clicking away all day long. I multiply my efforts by just doing the drag and drop and take off all the columns. So that's a quick way of the count. One thing to point out too is a lot of times you guys are out there, you get drawings, 70% drawings, and then they send you out 90% drawings. My thing about steel erection, the eTakeoff is I can come in here, once they send me the 90% drawings or 70% drawings, I can come over here and do a compare drawing. And when I select that and then overlay the new drawing over my takeoff drawing, everything that's changed on that plan comes out in red. So right away, I know exactly what's changed on the drawing and now only take off what's in red. So it really helps out in that process of, instead of bidding that, we have to bid that job 3 times, it just makes, instead of looking at that job over and over and over, we can just do an overlay, see what's changed and carry on. Another benefit too, when you're going to do takeoffs digitally, is the way you can assign a floor. And so for me inside Still Rex Bid Wizard, I want to price the building by floor. So I have my price, my man hours, and my schedule built by floor. So once I've done the takeoff on that page, I just highlight everything, come over here to work breakdowns, and I tell it it is the second floor. And now everything is assigned to that second floor. And when it comes out of report, because of the Bid Wizard, it'll be categorized in that fashion. They did just recently added a feature called Work Zones. Work Zones is very nice as well, because if I did this takeoff and then the general contractor came back to me and said, hey, I need this building split and get a schedule for from A to C and C to F, I can come into Work Zones, just draw around that grid lines, and it'll generate me a new report that I can then run into the Bid Wizard and get a new schedule built by that designated area. Let me check my time real quick.
While you're checking your time, Vince, let me just throw in a question here from one of our good contractors out of the Kansas City area. He says, I see e-takeoff is different from on-center. Do you prefer on-center?
Well, myself personally, I used on-center and on-screen takeoff since 2001. That's what I started with. But I quit and transitioned to e-takeoff about 3 years ago because of some of the functionalities like the kickers, because I can count on 2-foot on centers, on automation. One of the hugest reasons that I switched is shear studs. And let me just show you how that works, because I can have the system count these shear studs for me, and I could not do that in on-screen takeoff. And just show you how that process works for counting shear studs, and I meant to do that. All I do is the same type of search function, rope around it, hit search, and as you guys know, in shear studs, it's very painful to count every one of these 32 in brackets manually. And when you can get a software that will go through there and count them, and then add a multiplier to it, it just makes your life so much easier, especially when it comes to shear studs. So that on-screen takeoff is a great software. I used it a long time, but I transitioned to e-takeoff because I feel it's allowed me to do some things that I couldn't do within on-screen. But by no means am I knocking on-screen, because I integrate with them as well. I integrate with Bluebeam, with PlanSwift. So it's, it's just my preference to do this. So now that the search got done for the shear studs, I just verify that everything's 32 in brackets, hit save. Then I would click on it, assign the multiplier of 32, and we basically just counted 1,728 shear studs. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump out of, and just let me show this too. When we're inside of an e-takeoff, as you're doing your takeoff, you got this little legend that is being built. So every time we take something off, this legend continues to build. I'm gonna go ahead and jump out of here and jump into the Still Rex and Bid Wizard. And keep in mind, if you guys would like to learn more about it, get a more full-blown demo, you can go to my website, stillerectionbidwizard.com, and you can sign up for a demo there, or reach out to me by email, or let's see. So now we're inside of Still Erection Bid Wizard. Still Erection Bid Wizard is cloud-based, so you log into it with a username and a password. When you get into the Bid Wizard, you're gonna land on your dashboard. You'll see your job, most recurrent jobs you have bid. It also comes with a project management module, which tracks in real time whether they're making money or losing money, or if you're on schedule, behind schedule compared to your bid. Start tracking your bid win totals, bid win ratios. It does also, you can put all your contracts you're bidding to. It'll generate you a bid proposal on automation. Training for the Bid Wizard, very simple as well. Step-by-step videos, walk through the videos, set up the system to your specifications, and it's up and running. Jump into settings real quick. And like I say, this is a real high level overview, trying to get through it quickly. So I'm not touching on everything I would in a typical demo. Just to kind of touch base on the production rates that are defaulted in the system. So basically, I have tried and true production rates for labor, crane, and well time. And so the way it works with this 610 standard beam, what that includes is to unload, shake out, erect, bolt, and torque. So my production rates are based on a professional approved iron workers, as well as industry standard crew sizes, and it includes the full process. You are not tied to these production rates. You can tweak them, you can change them, but you have the ability. They do come in there defaulted. I also have created a production rate calculator within the Bid Wizard that allows you to put in your information based on your knowledge, and it will generate you a production rate as well based on your input. Jump in for a bid real quick. So once I've done a takeoff within whatever takeoff software you're using, Takeoff, if I've done that takeoff by floors or by areas, I would have to set those up first before I import that file. And the benefit of doing this is you're going to get you're going to have a breakout of your floors for man hours and cost and schedule. So you're just basically setting up different task groups. Once I've set up the areas, I come to import. You'll see I integrate with many softwares: Strumis, Tekla, Takeoff, SDS2, Fab Suite, Plan Swift, On-Screen Takeoff, Bluebeam. So all that means is those softwares will send a report out that will come into the Steel Erection Bid Wizard. We select the file, hit import. It'll tell me, well done, quantities for 37 tasks successfully imported. And rest assured, if something does not come in, it will list what did not come into that particular project. Once I've brought it in, I'll come down and delete 0 tasks. So it cleans up the bid form to what's only in that project. And if we expand all, we'll see now all the tasks that was in that takeoff are in here with associated labor hours, crane hours, well cost. And you'll also see that it's by floor. Come up here to the top. At that point, once we brought it in, we're going to furnace pick, heaviest pick is basically just you thinking about what size crane you need. Average crew size, the way average crew size work is basically you have a 42,000 square foot building, 3 stories, with a crew size of 5 men. It's going to take us 48 working days. On this particular job, I would put a crew size of 9 men. When I put 9 men, you're going to see it goes down to 30 working days. What I like about this feature is that if a general contractor calls me up and says, hey, I like your price, how long is it going to take you? I tell him 30 days, and of course he says I need it in 20. If I had the room to spread out men and be productive, that being the key word, be productive, I could jump this up to 14 men. And I'll see that goes down to 22 days. So I can probably get done using more men, provided they can, I can spread men out and be productive. If not, I'd have to add overtime, and that's very easy to do as well. Fuel cost per gallon works with a smart fuel calculator. Subsistence, travel time, per diem, that's an hourly rate that you've put in for travel time. Square footage of the project comes in from the square footage of the deck in the project. Are you working 5/8, 4/10s, adjust that accordingly. In the blind, inside access is just information. Do I need special equipment to get on the slab? And then if you work in different areas, different locals, and you can set those up in settings, and then wherever you're working at for that bid, you select that local. And we also have scale and private. So basically union, non-union. I use this feature for when I'm looking, competing against non-union in an area. I would put their wage rate, try to figure out what the wage rate is for my area for non-union. Be able to plug that in, and it kind of gives me an idea of what the difference between they might be and what I might be based on my wages. So it kind of helps me massage that bid to get as tight as I possibly can. After we've set all that up, we go to equipment. Equipment is pretty simple. We got all the equipment we need listed in settings. You can add it, you can remove it, you can do whatever you want, change the names. But we simply just select the equipment we need for the job. Put 4 boom lifts, adjust the quantities, and it does come defaulted with equipment rates, but you're gonna have to adjust that for you. Freight for equipment is what the rental company charged me to move that in and out. Crane, it does have these cranes listed in the system. You can change them, so forth. Once I select the crane, it'll pull in the hours that these tasks had associated with the production rate for the crane. Then we come to general conditions. General conditions, work truck, consumables, your oxyacetylene, welding rod, grinding disc, all your consumable items. Welding machines, if you own them, you got to put something in for maintenance and upkeep. If you're renting them, you got to put in that rental rate. So in settings, you can also set up a shopping list of all types of general conditions. So you set those up in settings, job by job, you select what you need. So we'll say safety cable, 5,000 feet, 52 cents a foot. And like I say, you can put whatever you need in general conditions. Then we get the smart fuel calculator. So smart fuel calculator basically told the system, our fuel's costing us 304 a gallon. What I've done with every piece of equipment that's in the system is I went to the manufacturer and I got their burn fuel rate per hour for each piece of equipment. So it's already built the schedule, so it knows our duration. And it's gonna tell me that forklift's gonna burn about 45 bucks a day, boom lifts 22 a day, crane and welders by hour, and totals up $292 a day, and then of course for the duration of the job. Another recent feature I added as well is the weather projections. Weather projections, our challenge was, of course, is, you know, we'd send our guys out to the job site, and if they got rained out, you know, they didn't work, I still had to pay them 2-hour show-up time. So weather projections for what I've done here is if I know the start date, I put it because the general told me. If I don't know it, I got to go about 3 or 4 months out. I go in and select my state, whatever state that is. Once I select my state, it is going to go into weatherbase.com, which is tracked historical lost weather days for the last 30 years. And it's going to tell me a percentage of lost days, and then against my mans, and give me some hours. Now, granted, we still got to be low on a job, so I don't know if I'd always use this in a bid, but it gives me some really good information. And it also gives me some ammunition. If a general told me I start in September and they push me to January, it gives me a way to go back and fight them a little bit. If you leave it enabled, the dollar amount's in the bid. If I disable it, it takes it out of the bid. Then we come up to the top, we're pretty much, well, let me talk one more thing, profit and overhead. So after we've got everything in, our equipment and everything, I have profit and overhead broken out by labor, separately by labor, equipment, freight for equipment, cranes, general conditions, and fuel. It was our goal to track production rates, get them dialed in so that I know I can do this job for this much. And then I would massage my bid by my profit and overhead, depending on how tight I wanted to get on a project. So then once we've got all the profit and overhead set, we get our actual cost, our actual selling cost, projected profit and overhead, number of days, number of man hours, actual cost per square foot, selling cost per square foot, average markup. And it's also going to tell you you're setting about 22 pieces a day on average. And keep in mind that might seem low, but you have to remember that it's the full process. So it's not just hanging the beam, it's encompassing the full process on that production rate. And it'll tell me how many crane days I have. And how are we on time, Kevin?
Well, we're just coming up. We've got some questions rolling in. I can give you about 30 more seconds or so. You can say a lot in 30 seconds.
Well, I mean, the system does generate you a bid proposal. We got many job cost reports, comes out in Excel or PDF, unit price reports. But for the most part, Kevin, I mean, that's a real high level overview of what Takeoff and what Steel Rexford Bid Wizard can do. So we can take questions.
You know, for the people that are on, you know, keep in mind that we're going to give Vince the registration list, and he'll have a chance to shoot you guys an email and start the dialogue. But and you know, we do business with Vince and have for many years when he's a contractor, now obviously as a vendor. So if anybody wants to talk directly to him, we'd be more than happy to give out Vince's contact information, his business contact information. But let me throw a question out at you, if I may. Sometimes drawings received are not electronic / OCR readable or scanned and sent. Will the program still work with these?
Well, it depends on what we're saying. I mean, if it's a PDF, then it should come in. Now, even if it's scanned and sit and turned into a PDF, it should still work. But yeah, I know there is some drawings that come out there, and there is converters and stuff that there's different softwares that we can use to convert them if there is a problem. But for the most part, I would say yes, they should work.
Okay, good. Can you give bid-win ratio? I'm sorry. Can you give bid-win ratio in different category, i.e., miscellaneous, structure, industrial, etc.?
At this current time, no, but that'd be a great idea for a future enhancement.
See, another value added from Impact. Vince.
Yeah, there we go.
Is there a full-featured demo that can be used as a trial for a period? So in
Yeah,
other
I
words,
do offer a 10-day trial. I do like to have a conversation beforehand with who's looking to do the trial, but yeah, absolutely.
okay, great. And then we have a gent that would like to talk to you directly afterwards. Can you show us what the Bluebeam / eConnect output looks like that you uploaded into Steel Erection BidWiz?
So the file comes out. It doesn't matter what let me get over here, what file it is, whether it comes out of Bluebeam or whether it comes out of Takeoff. It's just an Excel CSV file. That's all it is.
Okay. So it's just a standard type
Yeah.
file.
The format is the columns have to be a little bit separate because the way the software sends it out, they're going to be different. But basically, it's just a CSV file.
Okay. Comma separated.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Let's see. How often do you need to upgrade the software?
So the software is always, whenever there's a new enhancement, upgrade, it automatically happens when they're on support and maintenance. So it's not, they don't have to do anything. The software just automatically gets updated when there's new enhancements.
And that's just on an as-needed basis.
Well, no, enhancements are all the time.
Okay.
Whenever we do enhancement, you get the upgrade. It's not we're always trying to improve.
Yeah. So you don't have to pay for it, basically. It's part of your software license.
Well, no, there's an annual support and maintenance.
Okay.
That you are paying for annually, but that includes, support and maintenance, keeping the system secure, and enhancements.
Okay. Does this work for pre-engineered metal building takeoff as well?
I have a separate program for metal buildings, for pre-engineered buildings, called a Metal Building Bid Wizard. It is still built in Excel. It is not elaborate as a Steel Erection Bid Wizard, but yes, I do have some for pre-engineered metal buildings.
Okay. Does this generate proposal letters to customer?
Yes, on automation.
Nice. Do you have any knowledge or recommendation of similar software to be used for rebar takeoffs?
Unfortunately, no. I have done some research for rebar. I don't know rebar, so I try to stick with what I know. But I have seen some rebar softwares out there. It's probably more of a Google search, and you should be able to come across it because there's not very many of them.
That's a natural tee up for a estimating and bidding class that we're offering, hopefully face-to-face later on this year. And, it's a multi-day course. We started out doing estimating and bidding in the structural world because that's the fat part of the curve. We're going to beta test our rebar estimating and bidding class, and we'll move on to ornamental after that. But with that, I can see we're out of time. I just want everybody to remember, you can meet Vince face-to-face in the flesh in Orlando, February 14th through the 17th, and go through this in detail. And Vince will also get the registration list and have the opportunity to reach out to you. And of course, I'm sure if you Google Steel Erection Bid Wiz, it's very easy to get in touch with Vince. Vince, thank you very much. You did an outstanding job. And we look forward to seeing you in Orlando, Coronado Springs, February 14th through the 17th.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for logging on. Take care. Have a great and safe afternoon.